Welcome to RevCast, a Civilization podcast focused on its console platforms. Elthrasher,
the Headless 10,
TyShine.
There's a map that I've played a few different times as Egypt in a free-for-all game that I know right where to go where I can get a good Hanging Gardens start. And
it has the same seed every time?
Yes, it's been the Hanging Gardens every single time I've moved there, probably 3 times.
Gain photographic memories, people, and then...
just play this game over and over, and there you go.
Welcome to RevCast. This is elthrasher, the lead co-host, joined by Rob, the Headless 10.
How's it going?
And TyShine, who is our guest co-host today.
All right.
TyShine is a very strong player. Maybe you've had the pleasure of playing against him. Let's see, what is your particular claim to fame? French in the top 10?
Twice, actually. I did it a second time.
Because it's so much fun.
I thought so. I don't really play too much for rank, but I'd say first one with French in the top 10 was probably my claim to fame.
Excellent. Any other bragging rights?
I think I've beaten and lost to just about everybody.
People who want to get involved should come by 2K forums, forums.2kgames.com, and get involved in either the Xbox or PlayStation bracket tournaments going on right now.
Elthrasher and myself have already qualified for the finals, so...
Oh, yeah.
You guys are welcome to come compete.
I'll have to show you up.
I've had some fun games with you, TyShine, I should say.
Some frustrating ones, yeah.
Frustrating on either end, I would say.
Yeah.
It's always good to play somebody who knows what they're doing and the intricacies of the attack and defense.
Yeah, it gets real intense with an aggressive player like you. I'll say that. But it's good times.
So, shall we talk about our Civ of the month?
Yeah, let's do it.
We should.
That would be Egypt, which is fun Civ, I think, but...
fairly random Civ.
Not one of the best.
Pretty popular.
They are popular, and I think some people have a different opinion of them than I do. I think that they're really kind of a crappy Civ, but I like playing them all the same.
Can I say crappy on CivCast? Oh.
You can.
Pretty PG. I think you'll be alright. I enjoy them a lot.
The starting bonus, you begin the game with a wonder, an ancient wonder.
I don't really know if there's any way to pick your wonder. If I could, I would pick the Colossus.
Really? Can you explain your reasons for that?
That gives you double trade until somebody gets invention, which will be never if you have a good game, and it will be by like 1000 BC if you're having a bad game against China. I think you did that to me once as Spain, Rob.
I beat you?
No, I was the Mongols, though. I had taken over Egypt.
Oh, yes. You had...
Yeah, and you had invention in like 1000 BC. That sucked.
Yeah. I remember you saying that you were going to win the game, and I just thought, there's no way I'm going to lose.
Oh, well. I'll get you next time.
Yeah, hey.
I think a lot of people just want to have that spectacular Colossus game, but I just like the randomness that they kind of present. So, really fun Civ for me. Definitely not one of the better ones, in my opinion, but I think a few others would disagree.
A lot of times you play them against the random scrubs, and you see him quit right away. You play the same guy twice, 3 times in a row, he's Egypt every time, and you see him quit after 3 turns, and say, he's waiting for his Colossus.
Yep.
When he finally gets it, could have a fun game, you never know.
It can be a really good game, actually, so it can be worth the wait. You know, even if they're not very good, you give them that perfect Colossus spot, and they're going to town.
I played the same guy 4 times in 5 minutes. He didn't ever get the Colossus.
I actually run into it quite a bit, but I will say I get it quite a bit too, so it's kind of my trade-off, face it and get it yourself.
I usually get Stonehenge.
In Ancient, you get +1 food and trade from desert regions.
It's alright, it's different, it's interesting.
Map dependent.
Yeah, it's very map dependent. It doesn't really come out to be very much unless you also have the Colossus and you get the free trading post and you have a library or a market or maybe a great scientist settled, which is one of the few times I would actually do that.
You guys typically horse rush when you get the Colossus. It's something I do not every game, but it's definitely something I still do a lot.
Yeah.
Almost always.
It's a great start. Obviously, the trick is you want to have 2 deserts. And then instead of working trees, you don't need trees, you just work gold, and you're getting 4 gold per turn off each tile, and then you use that gold to rush units at the same rate that you could hammer them. Meanwhile, you're getting food at the same time, so by the time your horse army's out, you've grown to 3 population, and maybe on the way to 4.
Yeah, and with the 3 population Colossus City, you can definitely recover from having low gold after horse rushing really fast, too.
Doesn't matter very much.
Horse rushing fast doesn't really mean low gold to me, it means high gold.
It depends,
Yeah, it depends. If you're unsuccessful, you're right, you could recover fast.
I've played conservatively, a little conservatively too, where I'll start, put it on gold, pump out a couple warriors maybe, and they get good gold right away, and I'll just go on gold for 2 or 3 turns to get my 100 before I switch over to that horse rush. You don't need anything else, you're self-sufficient right from the start.
Right.
Yeah, it can be very strong.
I've found it helps also with campers. A lot of times people like to camp you if you have that Colossus sitting there. Just kind of get everyone away from you and use all those desert tiles and hopefully get that trading post.
Trading post is nice. Then, it's tough to stop, especially with a good player. It's one thing to play against someone who's going to make 2 cities and then slowly go up.
Yeah.
But someone who's still going to expand and someone who has his horse armies in the field, he's pressing you, and he's teching like crazy. They can make for bad news.
It's kind of a done deal if they know what they're doing.
I don't run into too many Egypt players that will do that, though. I see people who have the trading post at 2000 BC, which isn't too bad, I think, because at that point now you can start doing like 40, 50 science. Let's talk a little bit about playing Egypt in the ancient era. I mean, it sounds like we're all basically doing the same thing. We're looking for some deserts.
2 desert, 2 tree start.
2 deserts, 2 trees. If you're really lucky and you're going to get the Colossus, you don't need the trees, but otherwise you really do.
Do you risk it? If you see a spot with 1 tree or no trees and a bunch of deserts, do you risk it?
No.
I don't usually.
Only if I'm desperate, really desperate.
Playing against one of you guys, maybe, I suppose.
Only if I had gold.
Yeah.
If I didn't have gold, then forget it.
I've had to do it a few times, and you'll plop down, and it'll be Stonehenge. You're just sunk. No food, no trees, just...
Yeah, I've lost more than a few games that way.
And you're just like, oh, good, well, I can get a horse army in about 20 turns, maybe.
So, would you typically build more than 1 horse army?
It kind of depends on the gold, but...
Situational, yeah.
Usually, no.
I must always build 1 when I'm Egypt, but I typically wouldn't build more than 1.
I still like to see if I can pull off a horse army and the trading post. Try to get it all. 2 horse armies can really slow you down, but it depends. Maybe if I picked up religion from Angkor Wat, then I'll just go ahead and go with horse armies until it's over. Or if I have maybe the Oracle.
How important is getting that trading post to your strategy?
There's not too much competition, really, for it. I don't know. Especially with Colossus. Maybe China can compete you to get there, but even if you build 2 horse armies, like you said, 2000 BC is not when most people are switching into Republic.
Yeah.
People are still building warriors and horses and expanding and trying to get past that initial exploring.
Especially if you're pressing them, they can't just tech away freely.
For me, that's just kind of gravy, in my view. I don't think I've ever picked Egypt, really. I've just gotten them on random, so... I mean, I'm not expecting any super, 20 turns I'm going to have a city that does 50 science. I'd be more concerned with taking up some space on the map and pressing people and that kind of stuff. I wouldn't be that concerned with getting the trading post. If it turns out Rome's in the game or something like that, that's not going to cripple my strategy or anything, so...
No, it's not a huge concern. But if you got a nice 3 desert spot with some rivers...
If you have a 3 desert spot, do you buy the trading post at the end if you need it?
It's awfully expensive. I typically wouldn't, but I really wouldn't have the money to do that most of my games anyway. And if I did, I'd probably a pretty easy game.
What's your tech path?
I go straight horseback, typically, and then the basic alphabet writing, code of laws.
Skipping bronze?
Maybe I'll take that from an AI. I'll get it if I have to, but no, I don't usually take that.
So you're getting code of laws in ancient then, unless you pick up a tech somewhere.
I might backfill at that point.
Uh-huh.
Before that, so it just kind of depends. If I can get an ancient without picking up any tech bonuses, I'll definitely try to get a few settlers out and settle them in medieval.
Right.
With Egypt, the ancient game is where it's at.
Very.
If you can't set yourself up in ancient,
yeah,
they don't have anything else.
You got 4 potential wonders. If you get Stonehenge, you have to horse rush because your wonder sucks and you don't have anything else going on. If you get the Oracle, either you have the best wonder for horse rushing or you have a useless wonder that sucks. So you have to horse rush either way. If you get the Hanging Gardens, then you have the extra population, which really helps you out in the horse rush. So you have to horse rush. And if you get the Colossus, you can get horseback riding really fast, and you can work on gold, and you can grow your city at the same time that you are putting your horse army together. So, except I would say that with the Colossus, you maybe don't have to.
You can kind of just do what you want.
Well, on the other hand, what are you going to do? You're going to be on deserts with Colossus. You're not going to put it on grass. You're going to be on deserts until you grow. What are you doing with that time? You're not horse rushing? What are you doing? Like, come on. What do you get, an alphabet? Like, come on.
A lot of people like to do that.
Well,
the people who get Egypt and then tech irrigation.
Crazy.
It's your medieval quote-unquote bonus.
How many cities, get before to even make it worth it? It's not, in my experience, at all.
It's really not. In case it's not obvious, the medieval bonus is that you get the irrigation tech for free, but you do not get a population bonus even if you are the first one to earn it, which oftentimes you would be, since you just have to get any 5 techs and then you get it. So there are some people who will actually go ahead and tech that before medieval or to get into medieval, so you have no medieval bonus at all, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Basically, in my view, the medieval bonus for Egypt is that nobody gets the irrigation bonus.
Kind of a spite factor, which is nice.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you have a lot of rivers by your deserts, or if you have a lot of the wheat resource, then the irrigation bonus can actually help.
Egypt is one of the few civs I'm looking at rivers, I think, so early. Most of the times you figure,
Yeah. But
you gotta really think about it when you say, hey, I've got a river by these deserts. It's not looking so bad.
You get 2 trade and 2 food. That's pretty good.
And if you got Colossus.
I had good settler pumps with wheat, but definitely not a very strong bonus.
What are you doing in medieval? We can break it down by wonder again. If I have Stonehenge,
I've lost by now. If I have Colossus, I've won by now.
And probably somewhere in between with the others.
You got to make your temples really fast if you have Stonehenge.
Rush them, I think.
See if you can get 1 or 2 turns out of it.
Yeah, or Roman people who have built Stonehenge because it's cheaper for them. So, okay. I think with Egypt, it's all about the ancient game.
It really is.
They're one of the fewer civs where talk about further in, and
yeah.
If you haven't made yourself a spot, you don't have an idea of what you're doing or a kind of a way to victory, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you have to set the tone really early.
Because none of the upcoming bonuses are any good at all. If you have the Colossus, then you're hopefully looking at getting into the later eras way before anyone else and getting those powerful technologies to just go and crush them. That's fine. It's not like you have to win in Ancient, but you have to do something in Ancient.
I often go, when I have Colossus, towards Knights. This is one of the few civs that I'm going to Knights with, as opposed to like catapults and whatever else. Because it doesn't take so long. Get that trading post. I rush a library usually with some gold if I can. And you get there real quick. You've got your armies out. Tends to be a way I'll win if I can.
You can sometimes pick up currency with Colossus, and then use it after you've gotten feudalism and then really rush them a lot easier.
Egypt seems to be great leader prone to me. I get a lot of great leaders when I play Egypt, so I think that goes with the Night Rush pretty nicely.
You get your first great person quicker.
Yeah.
Because of the culture bonus.
I get a lot of engineers, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Either way, you get more great people. I mean, That's not something worth overlooking, because it is useful.
Yeah.
If you get a builder, then you probably want to get the Samurai Castle if you do the Night Rush.
Yeah, and it helps out their medieval rush a little bit. Gives them a little bit of extra ed.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I can't finish the game in Ancient with Egypt, I'm generally trying to finish it in medieval, because it just gets worse as it goes.
Would you go to Legions, or would you prefer to go to Knights?
Prefer Knights. Legions kind of signifies a worse game, or maybe a lazier game where I don't really want to build a lot of cities.
I agree. I wouldn't go Legions with Egypt very often. Desperation, maybe, but...
Yeah, that's more of a desperation kind of, you got nothing going on, so just throw together some legions.
If you got Angkor Wat and could go to fundamentalism, or had religion for some reason, and had the Oracle, I think you could do some pretty great stuff with legions. But I agree with you in general, yes.
Even Colossus gets obsoleted by invention. which isn't too far into the game. When you're talking about getting to industrial, you've lost your bonus. You're back down to below the French now.
That's true. That's why you need to press your enemy when you play Egypt, because if your enemy can just go and tech and build cities, then that Colossus is going to get obsoleted a lot quicker. If you are sending knights at your enemy, then it's going to take them longer to get to invention.
Even if they're expanding, those are just cities you can take now.
Yeah. Maybe you take enough of the cities that you don't even care about the Colossus anymore.
Right.
Egypt with a crappy wonder plus 20 cities is still 21 cities. When I play Egypt, I very rarely get into the later eras, but we might as well talk about them a little bit anyway. The next bonus is the +1 movement rifleman, which seems really useless to me. I'm always impressed when I see somebody
utilize it
in some way and like, oh man, if only he didn't have +1 movement rifleman.
If only that guy couldn't have moved one extra space.
With his rifleman.
Slightly helpful when you're trying to take cities, if you got a catapult armies or whatever in your ships. 2 movement, hey!
Yeah, they worked for good bomber retrievers.
But other than that,
that's about it.
Yeah, that's true. I see people using them like knights, but you could have just made knights.
Knights come a lot easier.
A lot sooner on the tech path.
Since feudalism is a prerequisite for gunpowder. I don't really rate that one, but it's certainly better than their modern bonus of plus 50% caravan gold, which I have never personally tested this, but a lot of people have made the claim that they've tried to test this, and it just simply does not function at all. The claim is that if you play some other civ that doesn't have this bonus, and you play Egypt, and you try sending caravans back and forth, the amount of gold that they receive is the same. So,
which it wouldn't really matter. You're not going to take the time to build a caravan.
Well, it's true.
Ever building caravans or finding caravans.
In fact, maybe that saves you from yourself, because maybe someday you're having a bad game, you barely make it into Egypt, and you're like, hey, I could maybe get an econ victory if I should make enough caravans. No, wait, no. The worst part is that you give your opponent money for doing nothing at all.
Yeah.
Back in the olden days when AI was still alive, that's when this was useful.
Yeah.
Right.
The ancient times.
Going from probably worst to best is Stonehenge. Cheapest wonder in the game, gives you plus 50% temples.
Yay.
And it obsoletes as soon as the Chinese get to medieval.
And there's a Chinese, believe you me.
Yeah.
Not that it even really matters with that terrible wonder.
Yeah. It really doesn't do anything. It gives you 3 bonus culture per turn.
If you run into the Ark, the off chance that happens.
Yeah.
No.
Right. It's really useless. I like the Oracle better than...
as do I, but...
Better than hanging. I'll list that second.
I'll argue with you.
Well, see, the thing is that if there are Arabs in the game, then the Oracle doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you may not know about that until it's too late. The Oracle won't let you attack if you would lose.
And it heals, too, which is nice.
There's a trade-off, because you can't wear them down. You can't use 2 horse armies to kill an archer army.
Yeah.
Yeah, not very good for Legion rushes.
Well, except if you bring enough, then...
You could randomly win.
More attacks, I guess.
You get the one that would win. I really like having the Oracle, but the bad things about it are as soon as anybody gets religion, it doesn't work anymore, which means that if there's an Arab AI somewhere on an island that you haven't found, then you might go charging off confident in your ability to win any battle, and then you don't.
Yeah, which I'm sure we've all done. At least I have a few times.
Yeah, it's happened to me.
Been very frustrated afterwards.
And also, if India's in the game, as soon as they get to the medieval, they also get religion, which obsoletes it. But worse than that, I think, maybe not worse than that, but just as bad, is that it's glitchy sometimes. And sometimes when you have the Oracle, just weird things happen, like there will be a city you can just never attack. Anytime you try to attack it, you just can't. It's not that the Oracle comes up and says, whoa, buddy, not this time, you would lose, so don't even try, which is what normally happens. Instead, you just get a red X over it.
Yeah, I've had that.
You simply cannot try. I've had that happen a few times. You bring all your armies, and you're like, you're so dead, man, and then you just can't do anything.
Exactly, yeah.
It really sucks, and I think that it doesn't go away until the Oracle obsoletes.
Yeah, it's kind of just like a cancel message, and it worked for sometimes just one city. I've had it where it won't work for any other cities, and it can be really frustrating.
Right, and when it gets glitchy, then you have to actually actively seek to obsolete your wonder in order to be able to attack normally. That's not so great.
Because it's not always that quick to tech yourself to religion.
Especially if you build a whole bunch of units waiting to attack.
Yeah.
You got no grass in your capital. I mean, what are you going to do?
I've been there.
On the positive side, when the Oracle works, it's really awesome. I once played a game, it was a free-for-all game, and I random Egypt against Americans and Spanish and a bunch of good civs. And so I just built horsemen and went crazy and just attacked everything I could. And I was beating up on the last guy. He wasn't quite dead, but I had most of the cities on the map at this point, and I was ahead of him in tech, and I had a great leader, and I was pushing elite units toward him. And he quit, and he sent me kind of a rude message about, I can't really say the whole thing on the program, but it's something about a horseshoe being somewhere. And I responded, I told him it was the Oracle, and anyway, he realized his foolishness in saying something rude, so it's all good. That was pretty great, and that was a kind of game that would have been a lot more difficult to win. It would have been a lot more difficult to put myself into a dominant position, except I could go, I don't care if you have an archer army, I'm just going to see if this works, and it does sometimes.
You don't have to get injured in the process, so you don't risk a counterattack, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually pretty ideal when they build archer armies because they don't really make for a good counter, so you can just kind of sit there over and over. And I've had people like, what are you doing? And I'm like, just wait.
Eventually, it'll get you.
Yeah, and then they get so mad.
If it's not a capital, so you're going 9 to 12, you'll win that just a few turns most of the time.
Yeah.
And get a great general.
Yeah, or infiltration or something like that.
Yeah, infiltration. Actually, Blitz makes probably for the best upgrade for...
You're right. Blitz is even better because the first time it might tell you, don't bother, and then you get to try again right away. And sometimes the second try will work. So the third wonder is the Hanging Gardens.
Which I think is better than the Oracle, to be honest with you.
And why do you like that one better?
Especially for quick games, because most games are quick, but it lets you get out there. Just that extra one is more reliable. That extra tile, if you settle, you hope for Colossus, and maybe you get that instead, and you say, okay, I can still...
And then you have one city that's almost as good as Chinese city.
Well, hey, come on. I'm not comparing them against Chinese. But...
What could be better than that?
I just think that it helps to get units out quickly. I mean, if you've settler rushed, if you've moved your settlers somewhere, you can put it on 3 trees maybe, or... It
does give you a good start. If it doesn't become a really good start, then basically you save 5 turns by not having to grow your city. So it's all right. The comparison to China just kind of makes me go, oh, it's not really that good. But yeah,
it's a good horse rush start.
Yeah,
and warrior rush start.
Oh, yeah.
If you're real close, it's just pretty ideal.
Yeah, you can do 5 production or 6 if you're lucky.
More interesting than talking about than their worthless modern bonuses is when you're playing against them, especially when you're playing against the Colossus guy. You can have some fun games. I've had some good games against newbie players where I'm hard-pressed. I've lost some of them where it's like, man.
Yeah.
They've taken me to the limit a lot of times, and I'll be like, you're not very good, but I'm having a hell of a time with you.
Yeah, now you know why all those guys are quitting until they get the Colossus.
Hey, good for them. Funner games for us and funner games for them.
Yeah, I didn't used to think of it that way. I was like,
30 points!
30, yeah, I know, but it's really just more fun, more of a challenge. It's like playing a really good player.
Yeah.
With bad tactics.
So I'll ask our leader here, what do you do to defend against a Colossus Egypt player?
Well, it can be tough. One of the most recent games that I lost to some random person, it was a Colossus Egypt, and the Mongols, which is not really a great matchup. Ended up losing that one, but I probably didn't play that well. I think he had an archer army up in 2000 BC. I mean, it was like, there's no way I'm going to take him out right away. I tried everything, but he had knights pretty fast.
Yeah, it's tougher when they use it to press, too. It makes a lot of a difference if they want to press early.
If I'm up against an Egyptian player that doesn't attack me with knights, then I'm pretty much going to win, I think. But throwing the knights at me fairly early on, before 0 AD anyway, that was difficult to deal with because I had taken over AI Athens and I ended up losing it. I landed some legions and catapults at Thebes as kind of a last-ditch effort. Well, his knights were away, but I think he had free wall and he had maybe a vet archer army or
that's pretty tough.
Something like that. So I didn't win. Took the shot, and then I stayed in the game for a while, and he was just taking more and more of my cities. So not really any way to come back from that. I've had success with taking a stab at them right away because some of these Egyptian players will actually tech pottery, masonry, irrigation so that they can get that irrigation bonus before
obsoleted themselves.
Would get it for free. Yeah. Got to make sure you pay for it before you can get it for free.
Yeah, I don't understand that one.
If you run right at him and that's his strategy, then he's not going to have anything to defend with. So that works pretty well. I've had some success with camping people and just totally suffocating them. Put an army on every tile around Thebes and then put boats on any sea tiles that are nearby. And then, what's he going to do? Make double trade out of his city tile. It doesn't work. And you have to be 7 population before you even get any trade out of your city tile. Just make it impossible to play. If you have a good expanding civ like China or the Spanish, maybe even the Romans, you can just expand a whole lot and get to approximately the same tech level faster, but you will have way, way, way more production, which, as we know, matters a lot. So that works pretty well. You could play America and drop
just crush them.
30 veteran fundamentalist knights on his head in 500 BC.
Or before.
That kind of brings me back to my point earlier, though, about knights. Like you said, if they don't bring knights to you with Egypt, then you're probably going to win.
Because the Colossus will get obsoleted, and then
there's fewer cities are no longer worth as much as my many cities.
Right.
But I've been in a situation a few times where I've tried just pumping out some cities. I tried hitting them, like you said, lost maybe a horse army or two, or maybe I moved it on and took out an AI, and by the time I was getting to the point where I was about to turn things around, 3 knight armies hit you. It's like, just not quite ready. Maybe if I built some more legions, it can be tough.
Yeah, I try to see on the first turn or whenever they settle what wonder they have, and I try to adjust my strategy towards that. And if they have the Colossus, I'm generally going pretty fast at them, but a lot of times look at archer armies pretty fast, so then pretty well fortified in there.
We should mention that trick. Your science advisor will tell you what wonder the Egyptian player has. All you have to do is go into Tech Tree and read the description of each of the technologies there, the pertinent ones being bronzeworking, alphabet, and pottery. If the description of that technology does not include the wonder that goes with that technology, then that means that wonder exists in the game. So if you look at bronzeworking and it says, we could build a barracks, we could build the Colossus of Rhodes, then that means that that wonder can be built so no one has it. But if it just says, we can build a barracks, it's my favorite technology, whoopee, then that means that someone has the Colossus. Yeah, I do that too, all the time. I wait for the Egyptian player to settle and then check it.
It definitely changes your plans.
Egypt, great civ or the greatest civ?
Let's go with great on this one.
I'm not even sure if I'll go that far, but I'll defer to you.
I don't know about that either.
They can be fun, especially within random.
Yes.
The gambler civ.
The most random you could do is play Egypt in teams with a random teammate.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that a few times, looking for the Colossus and maybe Oracle together.
Most of my favorite games have been when things have gone wrong for me. I lost that battle where it's like, the game would have ended here, and instead you're hard-pressed, and those are usually the funnest times. Can I claw my way back? Maybe, maybe not.
Uh-huh.
It's fun if you actually come close or, actually pull out the win, but...
True.
I've had ones where I've tried to climb back and it just amounts to nowhere, and I was like, why did I waste my time?
Where you've got 5 cities by 2000 AD and, really nobody else has it, or BC, sorry.
Hopefully you can do a little better.
Yeah, did I mention I haven't been playing much?
And in Modern, you get plus 50 to the all-powerful Caravan Gold.
Which I believe that one doesn't work. Or does it? I don't know.
Getting ahead of yourself.
Back to ancient.
Oh, okay.
Back to ancient.
That's really where their strength is anyway.
It'll edit out and sound cool.
I forgot to talk about the horse rush decision here.
More interesting than talking about their worthless ancient, or I keep saying ancient, I'm sorry, than their worthless modern bonuses. Try and buy it from them before you kill them, you'll get your money right back.
Good idea.
Anything else you can think of?
I think that wraps it up nicely.
Any good bloopers to toss out there?
I don't know. Say something stupid.
Something stupid.
For more information about RevCast, sibling shows PolyCast and Modcast, or about PolyCast in general, log on to the series' official website at thepolycast.net. Record date July 12th, 2010.
Civilization Revolution, sound clips, copyright Take-Two Interactive.
Copyright Civilized Communication at civcom.net.